Welcome to my channel, Steve with the Window Cleaner. Today we're going to go over maintenance for Xero Pure systems. Really, this can relate to pretty much all pure water systems. They're all very similar, and the filters that they use for multi-stage. So we're just talking multi-stage here with RO membranes, carbon sediment pre-filter, and DI resin, deionization. So I have the Xero Pure Max Plus and I have the Xero Pure. Xero Pure Max Plus is a double RO system. The Xero Pure is a single RO system. So I'm going to go from the pre-filter all the way through to the DI as far as everything that's necessary. This is different than my videos on like filter changes or just the system overviews, and I'm going to answer a lot of very direct questions about some of the different things that I receive when someone gets a new system or when someone has a system for a while and they haven't maintained it. You've made quite an investment. You're going to have to maintain these systems just like you maintain a car. They're never maintenance free. The filters have a certain amount of time that they need to be changed in. There's some other elements there that may require to be changed sooner, but let's go over those. I'm going to put the camera on my head and we'll go over all of them with these systems. So one of the first questions that I always get with any pure water system owner is, do I need to drain any of these filters after use? No. You never need to open any of these housings and drain any of the water or try to get this RO drain by taking the cap off or making sure that all the water comes out of the bottom elbow down here. None of that needs to happen at all. So it's totally fine if there's water sitting like this amount or water sitting in here. Totally good. All the filters like to stay wet. If your resin dries out, it can go bad a lot quicker than if it just stays wet. ROs never take them out and like dry them out during the winter. That is just going to ruin an RO. You want to keep this wet. So that's a very important thing just about keeping the filters not drained. You just never need to do that. It's a big question that I get asked with these systems. Another big point that I want to make right at the beginning of this video is if you get an RODI system, you need to run these systems at least every few weeks if it's not getting any activity. Why do I say that? You need to run the system every few weeks to 4 weeks due to the RO membrane in this filter. This has to be ran water through. Due to that, it's pretty much like a fish tank. It's gonna build up bacteria, algae growth as far as that goes. So if that happens, they basically foul and they don't work anymore. You won't get a lot of water output. It won't be doing its job as far as removing the ppms. So that's the reason why you wanna do that. You're also given a white bag, a white powdery bag when you get these systems. If you don't want to have to worry about that and you put these away for a few months in the winter, I will put a video on here all about how to winterize your system. And you're going to use that RO Protect in a gallon of water or a gallon of RV antifreeze, depending on what you're doing. And we have the steps of taking out the pre-filter, taking out your DI, and doing that. But if you don't want to worry about that, you have to run these systems every few weeks. If you do not do that, you will be buying a new RO membrane every single year, no matter what. So that's a very important step. So I have these two wrenches on here. These wrenches are either going to open up your pre-filter or open up your DI. Now, when you use these, you're only going to untighten with these. You're never going to tighten with them. That's pretty much the only important thing about these. When you put these housings back on, they just need to be hand tight. Now, if I was to take apart one of these housings, another maintenance thing, and I don't see it happen very much, is that all of your O-rings always need to be lubed up. So you have an O-ring in here. You can lube up these O-rings on the pre-filters before you put them in. You always need to be lubing those up with the magic lube that you receive with the system. So you're gonna have the same thing when you replace your ROs. There's O-rings on the inside of this cap. The same O-ring that's in there is also gonna be on here on top of that. And you're also going to have a gasket on top of the DI cartridge. Let me open it up for you. So always remember, and when you open these up, you'll put these right on these edges. It will never go. Let me try to get what I see some people do. Sometimes people will try to get it right on these. That's not going to open it. You got to get it there, bring it up, and twist. Sometimes you might need to brace the actual bottom with your feet. So when you open this up, okay, you have an O-ring that's right here, and you have this O-ring. So literally, you just take a very small dollop, just put it on the O-ring, put it here, and that's basically going to help this whole entire O-ring not dry out over time. Let's go over average time of having to change filters on any of these systems. So pre-filter wise, on the regular Xero Pure system, you're typically looking at, you're changing out your pre-filter every 4 to 12 weeks. You see that this is a white filter. If this gets discolored, brown, orange, green, black, you'll want to change it. If you don't, this will impede water flow to your system. So if you ever have decreased water flow through the system, this is the first thing that you want to check to see if this is all clogged up, and then change that. You can buy these filters locally. This is a 2.5 by 10 inch. Sometimes in local hardware stores, it will be 2.5 by 9.75 inch. But this is a carbon sediment filter, 5 micron, and you can find these locally. Don't pay more than usually 13 to 14 bucks. On the Plus system, you have a sediment filter, and then you also have another carbon sediment filter, or this can be a chloramine filter. They are sold with chloramine filters. I don't use or my local area doesn't use chloramine, so I don't put that filter in here. I just put a normal carbon filter. Sediment filter, you're usually going to change out sooner due to that's catching a lot of those things that are just going to discolor the filter right away. So you're probably looking at changing out this, in that same 4 to 12 week range, depending on where you're at. These cost about $7. Chloramine filters cost about $20. Those are available on our site. I'll put links to all this below as well. But that's what you're looking at here as far as the pre-filters go, about every 4 to 12 weeks for this one. This one could probably be every 12 weeks depending on where you are. But if once again this is really dirty looking, or you just see a lot of crud in there, change that out, because these are going to impede the flow. And what these are doing is they are blocking the chlorine from getting into the ROs. The chlorine is going to damage your ROs. Same thing with chloramine. If you're in an area with that, that's why you're protecting them with these and keeping these good. Maintaining these are going to maintain your ROs. Okay, so let's go to RO membrane. So in these we have 4 by 40 inch ROs. There's also the Atom system, which is sold with 4 by 21 inch ROs. Right now, typically, you're gonna pay about, for the filter that's in here, about $350, which is an Axion XE1. And then for the Axion HF5s, you're gonna pay $399. They operate at 80 PSI at about 24 to 2,500 gallons per day. This one operates at 100 PSI, 2,400, 2,500 gallons per day. Now, the thing about it is they're all pretty much gonna have the same amount of flow. A single 4 by 40 inch RO, with the way that our wastewater valves go, is gonna operate about a half a gallon per minute of flow through the system out of each RO. So you get a gallon here, you get a half a gallon here. You're gonna change these filters out about every 1 to 2 years. So you can go longer if you keep your systems working well, but typically I see about every 1 to 2 years, depending on the area that you're in. The TDS in your area will affect it. If you're in an area with extremely high TDS, you can be expected to change your filter out at that 1 to 2 year mark. I'm in a very low TDS area. I have had my systems last for a good 4 years without ever having to change my RO. So that gives you that large probability of when you're actually gonna have to change it. This is how you're going to test to see if you're gonna need to change it. So if you run your system through the pre-filter and you unplug this hose here, this is the hose coming from your RO. The way you can test if your RO is in good health is test the incoming TDS from the water source. So let's say that's 200. You should expect to get 20 to 10 ppm out of this hose coming from the RO. Now, if it's 200 coming in and you're getting 50 or 60 or 70, that's a good sign that your RO is not doing very well. Also though, if you test this right off the bat of sometimes not using it for a couple weeks, you may notice a little high ppms before running it for a few minutes. So always give it a few minutes to run before really saying, okay, it's this or that. But that's the best way to test your RO to see if it's working well, is by measuring the ppm rejection rate. So it should be removing 90 to 95%. And then you should be able to read that out of here, and then your DI cartridges are going to finish off the whole entire process of getting it down between 0 to 10. And pretty much, same thing for this one. When you need to change them, you're basically going to release this clamp, pull out this cap. You may need a putty knife or a flathead to get this kind of out. It's all pressurized once it is run for a while, so it's going to be a little bit hard to get that off, but you will be able to. And then literally, you just pop it back in. There's a black brine seal at the top of the RO that goes on the top, and you're good to go there. Next thing is DI. So we have DI here. I left this open for a reason. It looks the exact same in here. You're going to change your DI when your TDS reads consistently over 10 ppm. So the way you're going to do that is you're actually going to take this whole thing off like we did earlier. You're going to flip it around. You're going to open it from this side. It looks like a pinwheel. Take off this donut. You're going to empty all that resin. You're going to put fresh resin in, pack it really tight. You see how high this is in here. I mean, there's only a couple threads left. You just smash this donut on top and then you thread it back. Just hand tight and then lube up everything, put it back, and then put it right back in. And then that will be good as far as resin. Make sure that you're buying virgin resin. There are resin out there that's meant for other things that don't have the same quality of basically positive and negatively charged beads that are going to remove the positive and negatively charged minerals in the water. So that's basically it with resin. With this system, it's going to cost you $79.99 for 2 refills of a 1/4 cubic foot of resin. That's going to replace that twice. For this one, this is a 21-inch DI, so this is going to be $79 for 1 refill. Benefit here is you're just going to have to change this less because it's a bigger cartridge. So after you change it, you just put it back on. Boom, hand tight, and that's it. One thing I get a lot of questions about with these systems is, do I need to back flush? I have a video about back flushing an X2 from years ago. One very important thing with back flushing is you want to back flush with pure water. If you live in an area with really high TDS from the source, back flushing isn't that helpful. Really, I would forget about back flushing these. They don't need to be back flushed. By changing out your pre-filters the regular time that I told you to, you're gonna keep these ROs healthy. If you ever wanna just flush the RO and without burning out your DI, just unplug this hose here and basically just run your system for a little bit if you need to flush that, if you feel like after a job, but really it's not going to matter that much. So no need to back flush these systems. Let's talk about just the overall frame and everything with these systems. So when you buy a Xero Pure, you get a 12-year warranty on everything except for the filters. Due to that, you'll change the filters out over time. So some of the other parts of this are these elbows, anything like that, the frame. Now, if those do break, please, I'll put a form down below in the description. You can fill that out and basically the warehouse will review it and see if that part is under warranty. So these frames are under warranty, housings are under warranty, wheels are under warranty. Now, if it is, you know, normal wear and tear over years, you know, you may have to replace it, but I'll leave that up to the warehouse as far as that goes. If you ever need to tighten these wheels, you can tighten them with an Allen wrench right here as far as that goes, but all these can be replaced easily. These are different than the old Xero Pures, which had an axle that you put in. These are all just built in right into the frame, but not too much to say about those other than there's a 12-year warranty on that. That pretty much goes over all of the maintenance that you really need to do for these systems. The main thing you're maintaining is these filters. So that's really the main thing to go over. But you know, this is an investment. Sometimes maybe make sure after a year of work, go through, maybe tighten some of these bolts. I mean, just like anything, stuff can come loose after a bit, but it's good just to check everything. I mean, it's a big investment to make into buying these systems. So take care of your investment. I sometimes get questions about, are these like maintenance free? That really isn't a thing with anything like this, with anything in a service business. Pressure washing, there is constant, you know, upkeep of pressure washers. Same with these. It's not constant, but you do need to read the manual that comes with the system and basically read about, you know, all the different things to really keep these systems working well. If you keep care of these good, they'll keep care of you good as far as creating pure water and make it in an easy time on jobs. Alrighty, well, if you have any questions, comment below. I know this is another video from my driveway, but I felt like it was important to make this video just to give you a good overview of the maintenance because of the investment that you made. If you have any questions or you want to buy a Xero Peer, I am a sales rep for Window Cleaner Resource. You can always contact me at 970-599-1437. And also, if you're not the type of person that you don't want to buy through a rep and you like buying through the site, you can always purchase through any of my links on my YouTube, on my Instagram, anything of that. They are affiliate links, so I do get credit if you want to buy that way. That is totally fine. I totally get it. Before I became a sales rep, I was the type of person that I really liked going on the website, scrolling and buying that way. So if you want to give me credit that way, that works out as well too. But if you have any questions just about the maintenance of these systems, comment below and I'll be happy to answer them. I know it's a learning process with these. It took me a while to really get a good handle on it, so I'm just passing that information along to you. Alrighty, well, I hope this video has helped and we'll see you soon. Bye.